It's okay.
It is happening. And there it is. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. I am Pablo Dellape from the Museo de la Plata, Argentina. Tom, Henry, and I have been working on updating and maintaining the portal Lygaeoidea species file for the past few years. And today I will show you some changes and new capabilities related to this database. The species file group in Illinois and the team here in La Plata have been working for a long time on migrating the species file to a new infrastructure, TaxonWorks. This project started around 2015 in parallel with the development of TaxonWorks software. Next, I will give you a brief introduction to the new version of Lygaeoidea species file within TaxonWorks. First, I will talk about the public view that we call taxon pages, and then on TaxonWorks, the software we use for editing. There are major differences between species file software and TaxonWorks. Species file software was designed exclusively for managing species file oriented toward taxonomic databases, while TaxonWorks is an integrated web-based workbench for taxonomists with several features that can be used in different tasks for taxonomic work. The software has many useful capabilities, and I will show some basics on it. Some of you will find the old homepage of the Lygaeoidea species file database familiar, but as you may know, currently the old version of Lygaeoidea species file is frozen. And the users are redirected to the new public view created on taxon page. So there are actually two products that were developed by the species file groups: TaxonWorks, the software that we use to create and work with the data and that could be used for research, and taxon pages, that is the product to display part of the data to the public. On the new homepage, you will find a search panel to navigate the database. There are also an about, recent, and bibliography sections. In about, among other information, there is a link to the archive all website. The recent section shows the latest activities, such as adding or editing information related to taxon names of sources. And under bibliography, you can search for bibliographic references by date, range, authors, or keyword. This first public version of Lygaeoidea species file presented by taxon pages and curated in a TaxonWorks instance displays an overview of the most relevant information of the database. The layout of this new public version is designed in different panels: smart search on the right, breadcrumb navigation is designed for taxonomic hierarchy, a tree browser for descent and synonyms. In this page of genus Epipolops, there is a panel for the type, another for nomenclature, and also references. And the map showing the distribution of the taxon. New tabs will be developed based on the needs of the user in the future. This is only the first new public version. Well, this is the complete view of the page. Besides showing the distribution map, the users also can search for and submit an area. For instance, I had selected an area in Brazil, and the results show the species that are distributing there, in this case, in the genus Epipolops. On the species page, the image panel is displayed above the type specimen information. The map shows the asserted distribution from the bibliography in this case, and the specimen record distribution. In this point, we only have the record distribution of type specimen in the database, but we hope to incorporate many more. Well, also information on descendants and synonyms, nomenclature and references is present on species page. Users can download data from the map in Darwin Core format, CSV, and JSON formats. By clicking on specimen record, we can see the information regarding types that are in the database and the associated images. Also, on the tab iNaturalist, you will find the images that were identified as from this species on the platform. In this case, there is only one, but could be hundreds in the case of common or widely distributed. And clicking on a given images, you will be redirected to iNaturalist to see the selected image, other metadata, and activity and discussions about its determination. Also, this new design allows it to be used on mobile devices. That is really very useful. Well, now my goal is to share with you some basics about TaxonWorks as a quick platform overview and the core concepts of the software, some filtering tools that can be used to get results and can be exported, know some database tasks that allow us to add information to the database, including records and images, and some key features, such as a tool for importing data and a task for creating matrices and interactive. In this software, in TaxonWorks, the data are classified into three main categories. The core concept, represented by orange rounded ovals, that are taxon names, collection objects, collecting events, OTUs, sources, observations, descriptors, asserted distribution, and biological associations. And there are also supporting, these are data that link or extend core classes that are represented by light blue rectangles, and annotations that these are general classes of data that can be applied to most core and supporting classes. One of the main differences with species file software is that in TaxonWorks, the nomenclature is treated separately from the OTUs, which are the biological units linked to images, specimens, and distributions, and other kinds of information. While the species file software was exclusively used for building and curating taxonomic database, in this new software, TaxonWorks is also used for several projects in addition to catalogs, for example, to manage an insect collection. Each instance of TaxonWorks supports multiple projects and users, thus each species file is a project. Each project can have one or more users, and data within the project are only accessible to that project, with the exception of sources, publications, and people's names that are shared across all projects in a given instance. Once a user logs into a project, there are three options for interacting with the data: task, data, and favorites. The task tab lets the user work on a specific activity. There are currently over 100 tasks in TaxonWorks, each associated with global concepts like nomenclature, source, biology, collection object, collection events, images, and matrix. The data tab provides a more traditional table view of the information stored in TaxonWorks, and the favorite tab allows users to save their most used tasks or week. Some icons in TaxonWorks helps to navigate the software. Other icons let you add or delete data. The radial menus, radial annotator, object radial, radial navigator, allows you to quick access and create associated data for each element without having to leave a page. There are many dynamic functionalities and ways to customize the interfaces, which greatly improve the data entry workflow compared with the old species file software. And now I would like to briefly show you some of the most commonly used tasks, just as an example of the use of this software. For example, the Bronx nomenclature and classification task that allows us to view and navigate the Lygaeoidea classification. We can see the hierarchy in the top center, the tree on the left, a checkbox to select if you want to be redirected always to the valid name, the references to each citations, and notice there is an orange box on the right side that says soft validation. That box is present in almost every case and helps you keep track of what is still missing or what doesn't match well. This helps with being more careful with the information you are working on. Well, this is a task for new taxon names, a task for adding new sources. We can add, in this case, we can add all the information here and upload a copy of the source. Or we can also create a source from a verbatim citation, or though the query will be resolved against crossref, and if there is a hit, the parsed citation can be imported. That is very useful, really. Also, TaxonWorks includes a wide range of filtering and reporting functionalities, which is a huge improvement compared to species file software. A user will primarily use filters that allow them to search for data in many different ways and combinations, enabling much more complex searches that we can do with the old species file software. We can download our query result in CSV format, and for the collection object filter, we can also choose to download the result in Darwin core format. For example, we can create a list of sources using the filter source and format it with the journal style we need. There are almost 2,000 journal styles available in TaxonWorks. First, we get a list of sources we need. In this case, all the references I've mentioned, the people of genus that I use as an example. Notice these 32 sources are ordered by the year of publication, but we can reorder them by clicking on column. And we then select the download formatted option and click on the download icon on the right. And it is also possible to download the list as CSV or BIP. And we then select the style we need. We can copy and paste this list, download it, or download it, as I mentioned, as BIP text to transfer it to a reference software as Mendeley or Zotero to make the last editing needed. And there are many useful tasks available, like the comprehensive specimen digitization task that allows to enter in one screen all about a collection object. We can also enter one or many images in one step. We can also import many occurrences from a text file using Darwin core terms and format. This is a significant advantage compared with species file software. And for example, also it is possible to create matrices. Here we are in this matrix, we can change the name, select the OTUs, in this case for the rows, and the descriptors for the columns. Each element can be edited and coded or deleted. Here on the left, we are selecting the objects for the rows, OTUs in this case, could have been collection object or DNA extracts. On the right, we are selecting the descriptors for the columns. We can select from all the ones already created in our project, or of course, create new ones. Here is the task for editing and creating descriptors. We can add images to illustrate each state of a given character. And then we can code rows or columns. In this case, we are coding a row, the OTU Prostandardus humerus. All the characters are listed, and we can select the state. When the coding is complete, we can get a description and a diagnosis generated for each OTU. The generated diagnosis compiles all the states that a particular taxon presents for each character, and the generated diagnosis only mentions the character states that are unique. Not very useful if we are avoiding autapomorphism. This is a complete matrix. There are many formats to download it: TNT, Nexus, CSV, etc. Once we have a complete matrix coded, we can interact with it to identify taxa. In TaxonWorks, there are also other tasks that allow us to create interactive keys, but this is from the matrix. And also, the content publisher is a very useful task related to taxon pages that allow you to publish or unpublish content related to the OTUs, or select particular OTUs for publishing specific content. And well, these are only a few of all the tasks that TaxonWorks offer to the user. Some of these tasks are related with the species file catalogs, but there are also many others to work on a collection or to research. As conclusions, Lygaeoidea species file lives now in TaxonWorks and is displayed through taxon pages. It will take us all, editors and users, a learning curve until we become familiar with it. There are many new features to use in research in this new software, and it is in constant development. The software is very powerful, as I mentioned, but it's not very intuitive at first. Fortunately, there are several resources available to help to learn about, such as videos, documentation, and live sessions. All these resources can be found on the software's webpage or on its YouTube channel. And finally, if you are an Lygaeoidea species file user who wants to go deeper, please contact us to get access to TaxonWorks. You can filter and search for data more effectively. Well, I would like to thank Matt Yoder and to all the species file team in Illinois, as well as the Orthoptera species file group here in La Plata, for all the work they have put into developing this software and for the continuous support they have provided over the years. I would also like to thank Christiana and the True Bugs Tuesday team for the invitation to give this talk, and of course to all of you for being here today. Thank you very much.